Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are from Group 5 and we will present the materials about problem of fictional and characteristic of fictional, how to interpret those texts. Okay, um, I'm Trividia Septiani. I'm the first speaker, and my friend Anindita Nuraini as the second speaker, and Kori Nuraini as the third speaker, and Diana Turosida as the fourth speaker, and Mela Alviana as the fifth speaker, and Fadila Milani Hakim as the sixth speaker, and Rido Septiano as the seventh speaker, and the last Destiana Anggara Rinta as the last speaker. Okay, I will explain the materials about definition of fiction. Um, Literary works are distinguished by two works on non-fiction and fiction. Okay, non-fiction is literary made from scientific studies and experience. A literary work is based on imagination and not necessarily based on facts. Fiction can be put into various forms ranging from writing, live performance, films, television programs, animation, video games, and acting. Although in the beginning the term fiction was mostly used in narrative literature, especially its novels, novella, and short stories. Mostly, fiction is also applied in narratives for all literary narratives. Okay, definition of fiction according to Semi is a type of literary narrative and is fiction. And the definition of fiction according to Chris Marsanti is an essay that contains a story or a story created based on the author's imagination. And the next material is type of fiction. Fiction is divided into several types, namely short stories, novella, and novelette. Flash fiction are Beauty and the Beast, Last Long Night, Snow White, and etc. A novella is Caroline, I Am Legend, and Endless Night. And the novelette are 6 Months, 3 Days, Sideshow, and Nightfall. Okay, the next material is characteristic of literary fiction. There are 7 points. The first is character-focused narratives, and the second is ample symbolism, metaphor, and allegory. And the third is advanced vocabulary is infused with imagery. And the next is ambiguous plot point, including even the work's conclusion. And the fifth is exploration of larger philosophical depth regarding the human condition and the will of nature. And the next is exploration of larger trends in history and culture. And the last is lack of adherence to a fixed broad formula. Okay, the next material will be continued by my friends.
The next material is common writing mistake of fiction writers. The first is writing reports rather than scenes. Fix, write scene this main character doing something in an established or identifiable place and time. Think interaction character using prop and responding to other characteristics. And the second is writing boring dialogue. Fix, write in incomplete sentence and have character deliberately not answer or answer a question that's not asked. Have characters lies, make character interrupt one another. The third is using cliches and common phrases. Fix, cut all cliches unless one is exceptionally apt or a character is prone to using them. Substitute your own word for common phrases that you find in any every novel. And the fourth is turning character into taking head. Fix interrupt dialogue with character movement, including quirk, quirks and habit that reveal personality, and motion that reveal emotion, and have character connect with object from the setting. And the fifth is omitting sensory detail. Fix add something of the scenes beyond what a character sees to its scenes. Give your main character a link to particular scenes. And the sixth is failing to push or increase conflict. Fix add a conflict to dialogue, create a friction between even the best of friends. Look for ways to set main character at odds with other, whether what mean a simple difference of opinion or a major difference in philosophy. Okay, the next material will be delivered by Cory.
Okay, I will continue the material from Anin. The next mistakes of writing fiction is failing to go all out. When writers commit to the height and depths of action and characterization, they create powerful, even magical, and stories. When they fail to go all out, when they hold back out of fear, the story is compromised weak. To fix them is allow yourself to write anything, any situation, anywhere, any event, and cut out weak phrases, events, word characterization who are not strong enough to make an impact in your fiction story. Okay, the next is having characters declare conclusion. When a writer describes a character's expression and then has another character conclude what the expression means, the reader is deprived of the satisfaction of drawing that conclusion herself. To fix that is give the reader enough information and then let her come to conclusion you want her to reach. And then the next is writing unlikable characters. Readers don't have to like every characters in the fiction story, not even your leads. Readers should find something in them to admire onto. To fix that is give characters, especially those who get a lot of page time, should be sympathetic. At least one or two endearing traits. Next is switching viewpoint characters within scans. Unless you are using the omniscient point of view, the viewpoint should then be bouncing from characters within one scan. To fix that is decide who gets to present a scan and maintain that character's viewpoint until the scan changes. The next is forgetting characters' reaction. The characters, especially the major ones, should have reaction to story events. the action of other characters and to dialogue. To fix that is make sure each action or event or revelation is followed by a response. The next is getrifying the word. Writers often try to pretty up their phrasing by using fancy sounding words to make the story feel more literary. To fix that is edit phrases that jump out from the rest of the text that don't match the story's feel personalities. Okay, I think enough. That is my material. The next material will be delivered by Diana Turosida.
This material is about common fiction problems and how to fix them. For the first is adult character. Okay, for fix this problem, you can individualize your character by including an interesting, suggestive name or maybe some contradiction or inner conflict and other. And for the second problem is lack of character motivation. To make sure conflict comes out of character, you need to consider the following: the character's take on self and others, the character's desire and ambitions, and etc. For the next is dialogue. You can improve flat dialogue by trying out the following. The first is using fragments, the second is using clipped, the third is using ellipse for pause, and the others. The fourth problem is a half-baked plot. Okay, for fix this problem, you can. The first is sum up your plot in one sentence and then develop this one sentence summary of plot into a paragraph. And the next is from this one paragraph summary, list key events and the causal relationship between each event in the story. Okay, for the next problem is a loose structure. For fix this problem, you can decide on the overall character arc and prune out extraneous material that takes the reader off course. Some of this material might be telescoped and etc. The sixth problem is authorial instruction. The seventh problem is a story or novel opening that lacks flair. And the eighth problem is a dull ending. A dull ending can result from at least two problems: no surprise and lack of flair. And the ninth is a clunky prose style. To fix it, make sure the language itself has some surprise. The first is work in some twist and turns surprise at the sentence levels. The second is work in some interesting metaphors, similes, or analogies. That is choose the word with the most punch. Okay, the last problem is lack of editing. This comes down to typos, spelling errors, mechanic can like faulty punctuation, sentence logic problems, and poor word choice. Read your short story or novel over carefully and get someone else to read it over. Check a handbook. Okay, I think enough
I will
from
tell you
me.
about problem of fiction. The first is don't make excuses. When you are writing fiction, don't ever make a lot of excuses. When you can avoid procrastination and delay with your ideas to get your project started. If you are serious about the craft of fiction, you must never make excuses for yourself. Don't ever say that you are tired or later, tomorrow, busy right now, wait for inspiration. No, don't be like that. Give up because your editors, again, readers, critics waiting for your story. Writing is hard work, so be consistent, persistent, even dogged work in day out is the professional ways. The second is don't consider yourself too smart. It's possible to sabotage your fiction to being too smart for your own good. You should examine your attitudes toward yourself, your readers, your own work, and contemporary fiction. It could be that these attitudes are damaging your work without your realizing it. If you are extremely smart, you are lucky, but if you are that intelligent, one of your hardest jobs may be to keep a snobbish attitude out of your work, and you don't have to be that smart to write wonderful fiction. You might even consider putting the following reminders on the bulletin board in your writing room. Something like, never write down to your readers, or don't assume your readers is dumber than you. Third, don't show off when you write. Good fiction writer never show off. Them is abstruse knowledge for its own sake, or purposely use big words when simple ones will do. They constantly seek ways to work in its necessary background information in as unobtrusive way as possible. And they remember that readers get irritated quite quickly if a writer's style send them to the dictionary once or twice every paragraph. When you can give your writing power by putting complex ideas into simple language. Fourth, don't expect miracle. What is done will be proportional to what is obtained. Expect no overnight miracles, but have faith. If you persevere, the chances are very good that you will achieve some success. When you can achieve your writing goals through hard work, patience, and perseverance. Fifth, don't warm up your engines by recognizing the fact. The first, anytime you stop to describe something, you have stopped. Description is vital in fiction, but at the outside of the story, it's deadly. Second, fiction looks forward, not backward. Third, good fiction starts with someone's response to it. If you judge yourself sensing that the opening of your current fiction project is bogging down or going too slowly, compare your problem opening with your list of ideas in terms of depth and seriousness of the change you're dealing with. 6. Don't use real people. In all these ways, fiction characters are not just different than life. They are better, bigger, brighter, more understandable, nicer or meaner, prettier or uglier, and ultimately more fascinating. In real life, People often don't make sense, but in fiction, they do. 7. Don't write about whims. Fiction writers too often forget that interesting characters are almost always characters who are actively starts highly motivation toward a goal. Many story has been wrecked at the outside because the writer chose to write about the wrong kind of person, a character of the type we sometimes call a wimps. So it's better to avoid writing about wimps character because the reader prefers fright fighter characters that are more challenging, passionate, and make the reader interested in the story. 8. Don't dark trouble. In fiction, the best time for the writer and reader are when the story main character is in the world's trouble. Let your character relax, feel happy and content, and be worried about something or nothing, and your story dies. It is much better when you can fill your writing with true conflict. Don't repeat conflict, write one actual conflict that feels real so that the readers is interested in the story. Repeat conflicts will bore the readers.
Material is don't have things happen for a reason. To make your story logical and therefore believable, you work always to make sure there is always a reason for what happened. The next is don't forget stimulus and response. For every response you desire in a character, you must provide an immediate stimulus. Response always follows stimulus, and response is always caused by a stimulus. The next is don't forget whose story it is. The next, don't lecture your reader, and then don't let don't let them be winebacks. Winebacks in old fashioned slang is a person who talks and talks, so you have to write modern dialogue. The next is don't mingle characteristic speech. You will make your own decision about character speech. The next is don't forget sense impressions, and the next is don't be afraid to say.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ridwan Septiano as a speaker, and I want to continue the material here. Don't assume you know, look it up. Look, we all grow through life assuming we understand some things that we don't really know. You might think you know all about the factual materials you put into your story, but again, maybe you really don't know. Next, don't never stop observing and make notes. You must hone your ability to accurately observe and write down what you notice must be part of your lifetime commitment to fiction. However, most of us need to make sure we don't become passive in the way we relate to the real world. That is the material of our story. Or suppose you meet someone new today or happen to pass a stranger on the road. Instantly you form an impression about that person, soon you start drawing conclusions about what kind of person he is. Okay, next, don't ignore scene structure. The scenes, the tense of conflicting part of your story is most exciting and arousing interest of your readers. For that reason, you must play a part of your story for all of its value. How did you do that? You put it on stage, the story now, and you develop action between the characters moment by moment without anyone left. You follow the rules, cause and effect, simulation and response. And don't wander around in the fog. Wait a minute, I don't know what happened here. Have you ever read a short story or a novel makes you feel this way halfway? A very bad feeling when it comes during the story you are writing. First, you should always start with a brief statement as precise as possible about what the story is actually planned for. Second, you must always remember to follow the story. which is a line of conflict that grows from the goals of the main character. Third, you must be careful of the late blooming ideas that seem to come from nowhere. While you are writing this project, don't don't critics yourself to death. One of the hardest things the writer must do is learn how to be self-critical. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Destiana Angrarinta as the last speaker, and I will continue our material. The next problem of fiction is don't bring to club meeting because it's not good idea. It's a waste of time for at least through the reason. The first is they won't be honest, or the second is they usually don't know what they're doing. The next is don't ignore professional advice. If you find a professional who knows how to teach the craft of fiction, you should therefore go out of your way to work with her. And the next is don't case the market. As professional writer of fiction, you can go crazy trying to outguess the editors, trying to figure out where the market might go next, or just what such and such publisher. And the next is don't pause and posture. Your style and attitude in your story should be like a clean pane of glass, through which the reader sees the action. The next is don't wait your plot ideas. This section is aimed primarily of novelists. The next, don't stop to room. Writing a story, any story can be a fatiguing process. And the next, don't prejudice your editors. It's time to reason that you want to get your editor to read your story. And the next, if you are to have a good career as a professional writer of fiction, you have to beware of all of them. And the last is don't just sit there. No matter how successful your less completed story might become, you are going to need to write again. Okay, I think enough. That is our presentation for 5 group. If you have any question, we invite you to it. Okay, the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.